The truth about blind offers. Today in this video, I'm going to share with you everything you need to know about how to master blind offers in your land investing business. Promise you, these are things that you've never been told before. Now, before we do, I just released a free Chrome extension for market selection and pricing. Landinsights.co/Chrome. Helps us find out pricing and saves us a ton of time when using different tools like Zillow, Redfin, Land.com, and it's free. Also, if you guys want to join Leah or look into joining Leah, which I think is the fastest growing land investing program out there, which is backed by our 6-figure guarantee, head over to landinvestor.co/apply. Come hop on a strategy call with us. We'll show you the ins and outs of how our program works and how we've had just a little over 300 people in the last year or so go through Leah and transform their life. All right, so there's a lot of rubbish out there about blind offers. Now, if you guys don't know, I love blind offers. It's really the backbone of what we teach inside of Leah. You see, inside of Leah, we have a thesis that most people that join Leah, and maybe you watching this video, you don't have a lot of time. Okay, you're probably starting this land business on the side, probably have another business or another full-time job. Eventually, you want to do this full-time, but you got to get there somehow. And what a lot of the foo-foo, silly, ding-dong educators out there will have you do is because they're lazy and they don't want to teach you anything of significance, they'll have you go send out a billion different neutral letters and then deal with this inbound flood, a surge, a tsunami of calls from unqualified leads. In fact, we've had so many people, it's got to be close to 100 people join Leah from programs just like that were way down and out on their luck. I mean, they are dealing with calls 24/7. They don't know how to underwrite the deals. They don't know how to qualify the leads. They don't even know how to run an airtight acquisition process. So in a lot of cases, they get left with nothing to show for it. We had a gentleman, I won't name names, who joined one of the big programs out there and sent out 40,000 neutral letters and got 0 deals. Now, it's not to say that neutral letters don't work. It's just the number one, the worst. It's just the worst strategy for new land investors started. And let me explain why. When we think about this business, the work has to get done no matter how you slice it. Now, if you're taking that neutral letter game, the work is going to be done on the back end. There's very little work to select markets, very little work to price. You just blast out a bunch of offers, and then you do a lot of the work on the back end, qualifying the leads, underwriting the deals, trying to make offers, yada, yada, yada. The problem is that's all what we call reactive work. That's work where you are held hostage by the timing of when those leads come in. The other thing is there's no point in your career where you are going to be worse at talking to sellers and worse on the phone and worse at underwriting deals than in the beginning, which that neutral letter strategy really relies on that, because the vast majority of people that you talk to are going to be woefully unqualified, and you need to be really good at reading those signals and testing levels of qualification on the phone. If you're a new land investor, I guarantee you're not good at it. Even if you come from sales, still probably not good at it. Now, our thesis inside of Leah is let's do that work proactively on the front end. Nights, weekends, odd hours, whenever we have time, we go and select the right markets, high demand markets, markets that meet our profiles. We fracture them and break them down to find homogeneous pockets of pricing. We create pinpoint accurate offers or very close to it. We send out our blind offers. They're like little salespeople going out to those sellers and pre-qualifying the sellers. What do I mean by that? The price is a pre-qualifier, as in if I offer someone $50,000, and let's say their property is worth 100, and they call me back, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're agreeing to my price, but we're already speaking the same language. We're already seeing eye to eye. I already told them 50K is my offer. Yeah, we could do the deal lower, we could do the deal higher. It's not to say we don't renegotiate. In fact, we do a lot of renegotiation. But what happens is instead of going and sending out 10,000 letters and getting 300 leads, we send out 10,000 letters and get 40 or 50 leads. And the crazy thing is about 60% of those leads are qualified. In that neutral letter example, maybe 10 to 15% of those leads are qualified. When what we found is a very different dialogue that you have with a seller when you've sent a blind offer. It requires a lot less salesmanship or a lot less land investing acquisition skill set to work these leads. The mail has done a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And in fact, what we hear from sellers all the time is that they actually prefer this. They enjoy this. They like how forward and clear and clean cut it is. And if you think about it, what are we doing in this business other than providing a service to sellers? We don't have a business without a happy seller. And what does a seller want to do? They want to hit the easy button. A neutral letter is not the easy button. A blind offer is. And again, we're not being held hostage to that price, but the context is very, very different. So that leads me to number one. If you want to get good at blind offers, you need to understand that the work, the vast majority of the work to doing blind offers correctly comes from accurate pricing. Obvious. But most people get it totally wrong. They think, okay, I find a market, then I try to price a market. What they don't realize is accurate pricing stems from proper market selection. And that's why inside of the tool that we created, Land Insights, not only do we track all the counties, all the zip codes, track all the demand metrics, we also show you the pricing and we show you how homogenous that market is. We have a tool called the Genie Index. The lower the number, the more tightly grouped pricing is. The bigger the number, 0 to 100, the more wide that range is. And so what that allows us to do is to weigh both options. lens. When you're selecting markets, I'm trying to weigh, does this have the right profile, the right kind of land, right kind of demand, not too much supply, but also, is there any shot that I can go and price this out? Now, inside of Leah, there's really three main pricing strategies that we talk about. There's a lot more out there, but the three that we start people with are polygons, acreage ranges, and subdivisions. And this is just a method to fracture and break down counties to find pockets of homogenous pricing. And what I see a lot of folks that aren't inside of Leah do is they go and do this whole song and dance of finding a bunch of markets, right? It's laborious. They spend a week picking markets. They build out this big Excel sheet, all these different markets. And now comes the pricing time, okay? So they go grab a market, they go pull up the Redfin data or wherever they're looking. What they try to do is put a square peg in a round hole. They try to make the pricing work from every which angle. Don't work. Typically because A, the market's not homogenous, and B, they don't know how to actually fracture the county. They don't have a structure or a strategy to reliably break down the county to find pockets of homogenous pricing. The truth is, the more narrow the view, the more homogenous pricing is going to be, right? The more micro, the simpler pricing is. The more macro, typically the wider the range on pricing. And so a lot of cases, they're way too zoomed out because they have no strategy to break it down. And again, because they didn't think about pricing on the front end, they have a market that's damn near impossible to price. So what they do is they spend a week or two trying to force pricing. They're staying up till 2 a.m. sitting in front of their computer, bashing their head against the desk. Finally, they say, F it, I'm sending it out. They send it out and they completely screwed the pooch. Way too low, way too high, a little bit of everything all over the map, and the results are super lumpy. And they say blind offers don't. No, you just don't know how to make blind offers. And that's what's so cool about what we do inside of Leah is while there's a lot of different ways to make blind offers work, there's so many ways we could fracture markets. Those are not just the three ways to do it, but we only give you the right information at the right time, because what's easier is to eliminate everything else. So you just have three really simple things to focus on when it comes to pricing. And that's everything that we teach inside of Leah. We don't teach you everything. We just teach you exactly what you need at the right time. And that's why people scale up so quickly. Now, the second thing is, and seems like a counter signal potentially, but it's going back to that idea that pricing is just for pre-qualification. So what we do get is kind of the OCD type. Let's say they're doing everything right. They're inside of Leah. They get this shtick. They got the way to fracture the county, but they're so OCD. They can't let the mailer go out without trying to get it perfect. And this is where eventually you start to defeat the purpose of blind offers. If you're going through line by line and trying to price out everyone to have perfect pricing, you're missing the point. Again, the point here is pre-qualification. And the only goal is to be right enough to where the seller calls us, and right enough to when we actually speak to the seller, we're interested in the deal because we're not miles apart. Again, we're going to have to renegotiate a lot of our deals, sometimes up, sometimes down, but it's a whole lot easier to renegotiate when you're just a few millimeters off, opposed to making an offer for a deal that's worth $100,000 and you offered $500,000. That's a really hard predicament to find yourself in. What we're shooting for is, let's say in that example, I offered $60,000 and I renegotiate the deal down to $48,000. Totally doable. Again, it's a somewhat of a wide margin. We're just right enough. What I think about is not being pinpoint accurate on every parcel in my data set. That's the wrong way to think about it, okay? We have actually a pretty wide breadth there, a wide range of what we can tolerate. What I do think about is how am I accurate for the highest percentage of my entire data set? You might be saying, Sumner, what does that mean? So on a deal by deal basis, I'm okay to be 30% off, 20% off, 50% off, no biggie. But what I can't have happen is a data set where I have 2,000 records and I've only priced 20% correctly and the other 80% are like all over the map, like just crazy. So on a micro level, we have more tolerance. Macro, I want the highest percentage for that data set to be accurate. And that's why it's paramount that you have a way to break down markets into these little tiny pockets, because I can promise you, if you're going and pulling data for an entire county and doing quarter acres to 500 acres in one data set, your pricing's wrong. Just to guarantee it. It's not to say that we can't do quarter acres to 500 acres, but you need a strategy to reliably break that down. And what we've seen inside of Land Insights is pretty crazy. We just did a recent poll for our members. So 91.67% increase in ROAS for people that use Land Insights, or before and after. 100%, pretty much 100% jump in what they get from the return on market spend. Crazy. The other thing is over a 40% increase in offer accuracy. That's a big jump. And that's, again, what we're thinking about here, okay? And the way that we do that is by picking the right markets initially and then having a strategy and approach to break down those markets into these little micro chunks. So you want to think about it as a funnel, right? I'm starting wide, state, county, and then I'm starting to fracture. And it's not to say I can't mail a whole state or mail a whole county. That's totally fine. But you're not going to just take all that data and blast it out. You need a reliable method to kind of funnel it down and to break these things into bite-sized chunks. A really funny story is when I first started in this business, about a year and a half in, okay? I just went full-time in the business. I just left my job. I'm fired up. I did like 60 or some deals my first year. I think I'm like king of the world. And I go and send out, I forget what it was, 10,000 mailers. That was like a big amount back then. I'm like, holy Toledo. I went and sent out 10,000 mailers, and I did pretty much everything in the lower half of Colorado. So take Colorado, draw a line horizontally, everything south, I mailed everything. Now I put filters on that. So it's like out of state, owned for whatever, how many years. So that list got really whittled down. But from the geography, I took it just this huge area. And you know what I did? I blended the averages of all these counties together to try to figure out what the price was. So you're taking whatever, 20 different counties with all different types of geography, mountains, valleys, deserts, like everything, cities. Found out this blended average and said, yeah, that's good enough. Put that into my mailer, sent it out. With all those mailers that got sent out, I only got leads and deals back from one subdivision. It's really fascinating. One subdivision. You know why? It was the worst subdivision in Colorado. Had no roads cut in, platted roads, no utilities. You couldn't build on them if you were over, I think you had to be over like an acre or two. All these weird restrictions. And the reason I got deals from there is because our price was so gargantuanly high. And they were worth probably $3,000 and we're offering whatever, $25,000. Because we're blending this huge area and blending these averages together. I just find that to be a really interesting story. Again, it was okay if I was plus or minus a little bit off on those things, but I was not only off on those, I was off on everything else in the data set, both high and low. So learn from that. Don't do that. I had no way to think through pricing. So I hope that helps. If you're having a hard time with blind offers, I encourage you, come and schedule a chat with our team, landinvestor.co/apply. I really think that we've kind of mastered the game, the art of blind offers, and they work like gangbusters for us. I don't care what anyone says. People say mail's dead, mail's expensive, da 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 da. I promise you, they just don't know how to use it. They've got new folks waltzing into Leah, and within 60 or 90 days, they're landing deals that are 50K, 70K, 100K in profit just from direct mail. No team, just them, no VA, no anything, just them, some data, and knowing how to price offers and knowing how to work leads when they come in. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Go send some blind offers. Take care of yourselves. Bye.